Hi, I'm Rhonda Dean Kinsel, and I'm the Associate Dean for Students in the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Oklahoma, where I oversee academic advising and student engagement. I also have a master's degree and a PhD from OU in the fields of composition, rhetoric, and literacy. Most of my academic life has been focused on writing. I've taught first year composition ever since I started here as a student in 2000. I still teach, even though I am also an administrator. I teach composition, and I also sometimes teach our writing for the medical professions course. I'm serving now as an ACADA's coordinator of writing support. You may have seen one of our earlier webinars where I've talked about how our virtual writing groups work and the importance of giving and receiving feedback in a virtual writing group. But today I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking with you about the writing process. In fact, one of the most important things to remember about writing is that it is a process. Writing tends to kind of get shrouded in this myth of genius. We sometimes think that great writers or our favorite authors just sit down in front of the computer or at a desk with a blank sheet of paper, and chapters and books and essays just kind of flow forth from them in perfect form. But in reality, this rarely, if ever, happens. Writing is always a process. It's a beginning, a drafting, a revising, then some proofreading, then some more drafting and revising and proofreading, and it just kind of cycles around and around. The Roman philosopher Cicero divided rhetoric into 5 canons or tenets. And when I say rhetoric, I just simply mean the communicating of a message, whether in speaking or in writing. So both writing and speaking can be divided into these 5 canons. There's invention, arrangement, style, memory, and delivery. But today, I really want to focus on that first canon of invention. The first thing you should know about invention is that when you're beginning the writing process, you're at a stage that is different from every other stage of the process. At this stage, this very early stage in the writing process, you work differently than you will later in this process. During the invention stage, you have the license and the freedom to be creative, to think big. There are no rules in this first stage, no rules. But I'm going to pause right here and say, I'm going to really make a sweeping generalization about academic advisors. We are rule followers. We like rules. Some of us love rules. But the invention stage is bigger than rules. The quickest way to short circuit the invention stage of the writing process is to hold yourself to all the rules you know about writing. Specifically, I'm talking about grammar here. If you're so focused on writing correct sentences, you'll be hard-pressed to write any sentences. If you can't silence your inner critic that whispers in your ear, that's not right. That sentence is no good. That sounds dumb. You will never get anywhere. You have to be able to suspend that criticism and that editing voice, because the invention stage is not where editing happens. It's where creativity and imagination happen. It's the stage where all of your ideas are welcome and where you should be free to explore and experiment. So how do we do that? How do we suspend the inner critic, the inner editor and grammarian, and allow ourselves the space and the freedom to pour our words and ideas onto paper? Well, let me just give you a few ideas. One of the things we practice in the writing classroom is what we call the free write. And a free write is just what it sounds like. You give yourself a certain amount of time to just be free, to record every single thing you can imagine about your topic. It's really kind of stream of consciousness writing. You take a piece of paper or you open a blank document on your computer and you give yourself an amount of time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. And in that period, you attempt to record everything you can imagine or think about your topic or your idea. Just pour it out onto the paper. And remember, no judgment. There's no judgment in a free write. You aren't trying to write good sentences. You aren't trying to write correct sentences. You aren't trying to write a well-formed paragraph. You have permission in a free write to break all the rules. The only goal is to get the ideas out of your head onto the paper. Another practice that may help you during the invention stage is to actually record what you're thinking. Now, nearly all of us have this capability now with our smartphones. You can just open the voice recorder and talk about your idea. You know, a good long walk may help this practice work even better. Often, to physically move really energizes your thinking. So you might try taking a walk around your neighborhood or around your campus and just talking about your idea into a recorder. You might try pretending that you're explaining your idea to a friend or to a colleague that you work with. Even better, try explaining it out loud to someone who knows nothing about it. Begin with what you know and just talk it out. After both of these practices, both free writing and recording your thoughts, go back and read what you wrote or listen to what you said, and you'll begin to see the threads of your idea, the main points of your topic, the main concepts or issues that you want to explore. And as you see those patterns and those threads, you can begin to write more about them. Buy a journal or just a cheap little notebook and keep those ideas and those notes. Just jot them down. As you begin to see the ideas and the patterns emerge, you can then maybe start a concept map where you record your ideas, you circle them, and then you begin to draw connections between them. If you're a more linear or hierarchical thinker, you might begin to see a flow chart or an outline emerge from this invention work. Just begin to experiment with the order and the flow of the information. Move things around. Just explore or experiment with how those ideas may be connected. The important thing here is not to short circuit this process. Don't cut this process off too soon. Give yourself the permission to keep thinking about these ideas. And a final practice that I want to share that could really inspire your invention stage is to take your idea to a group of colleagues, either in a group setting or just to single individuals, one-on-one. If you're a member of one of our virtual writing groups, you can bring your idea to that group. Share with them what you've been thinking about and ask them for their feedback, even just on the idea. Let your colleagues tell you what they think about when they hear that idea or hear that concept. Let them share with you the questions that the topic raises in their minds. Let them tell you what they know about it and what they've read or heard about it. If you're not a member of a writing group, just consider talking with 2 or 3 of your colleagues about the topic. Just the next time you're at coffee or out to lunch with another advisor, share this idea and then listen to their comments. Ask them for specific feedback. Sometimes your own responses to their questions actually help you clarify your ideas in your own mind. And be sure to jot down your notes about those interactions in your journal or in your notebook so that you capture them for later. Once you find a strong topic and you're feeling good about proceeding, after gaining some feedback from your writing group or your colleagues, then you're ready to begin the invention of the paper itself. And here you've got good precedent for how to proceed. Ancient rhetoricians used what they called the konoi topoi, or commonplaces, that served as the basic relationships between things or between ideas. So for example, let me kind of flesh this out for you. Once you've got your main idea, you could begin writing about that idea by defining it, or by looking at it as a whole or as component parts. You could compare that topic with something else, discuss the similarities and differences between the two. You could explore relationships in that topic, like cause and effect. You could identify circumstances or context. You could read up on authoritative testimonies or witnesses, such as articles on the topic. These are just some common ways of examining or analyzing an idea, and you can begin your first draft of a paper or a study by choosing one of the common places that you feel is most conducive to your topic and your idea. The invention stage of the writing process is a place that's different from every other stage. In the process of writing, you want to give yourself permission in this opening stage to break the rules, to write and think and play. You want to be your most creative and your most relaxed at this point. Don't try to sit down with a blank sheet of paper and write a 20-page study by beginning with the introductory paragraph. That is never going to work. Begin with an open mind and explore the idea. Imagine connections. Pour your thoughts out onto paper or talk your ideas out into a recorder. Be open with your writing group, with your friends, with your colleagues about your idea, and listen to their good feedback. And then, as you begin your first draft, experiment with those common places, with different ways or different angles of looking at your idea. Define it, compare it, contrast it, explore it. Creatively exploring the invention stage will ensure that you begin your writing project from a place of strength, a place that allows you to pursue a good idea in a way that is unique and imaginative. You can develop your skills as a thinker and as a writer, and your voice is important for our field. Look for more information and resources on our NACADA Writer Support webpage.